Hi, Alan.
Hi, Alex.
Hey, hi.
You got some questions for me, I gather?
Yes, indeed. So you went out and had a look at the job out in Hanover.
Yep.
Thank you for getting that report back to us. The questions really are, so the report's given us out maybe 14 or 16 actually, like identifiable interventions that we could make. A lot of these I completely understand, the loft insulation. Were you actually able to get into the loft? You
Yeah,
sent me
there
some
was access.
photos, didn't
Yeah,
you?
yeah, there
as
was
well?
access, and so I was able to get up into the roof space.
So this was
Yep.
these were
Yep.
the roof spaces up here, were
Yeah,
they?
it's essentially partially converted anyway, room in the roof.
Right.
And yeah, there's a Velux at the back, so I could look out onto the roof.
Right,
There's
so
a picture there. Yes.
So this is out of that rear Velux, the view out of there.
Yes.
Okay, great, excellent. That gives us a good idea. Were there any issues with the roof that you saw when you were up there?
Well, the concrete tiles are a bit of a concern. Quite a lot of those houses have got them, but I'm pretty sure they'd have been originally slate roofs.
Right.
And the weight of those concrete tiles may be stressing the structure.
Right. Okay.
So I think you should be.
So that's something we need to bear
I
in
think you
mind
need to
if we're
check
gonna.
the
Right.
condition of those roof timbers. Check they're not bowed at all.
Okay.
So
that's
I'd allow for that in your costings.
Yeah.
I would allow for something to take care of that if I was you.
Okay.
And yeah, bring that up when you're presumably going to speak to the clients.
Absolutely. So this is our next stage, really. So I just wanted to get my head round. Thanks for taking all the photos. They're worth 1,000 words, as always. It's just getting my head round where in each of the parts of the building. So this is on the top floor, I understand.
Yeah.
And then this is the lower ground floor, and that's the existing
That's
boiler.
the boiler. So yes.
It looks reasonably new.
Yes, I think it probably is. It's a condensing boiler.
Right.
Yeah, probably doesn't need replacing, but obviously if they want to get everything done at once and get an air source heat pump in there, then
And that's what they were definitely keen on, because I know on the phone that they were saying they'd be very interested in exploring the option.
yeah, I spoke to them about that as well. They were,
Right.
yes, they're quite keen to do as much as they can while they're about it. So
Do you think it's actually doable? Is it a feasible option?
I think it could work, especially if you're able to do the wall insulation and get the heat demand down so that it's not
Right.
going to be unaffordable.
Right.
And there's
we've
somewhere
got-
there's pictures of the from the outside.
Oh yeah.
There's some steps down at the back.
Yeah. So you showed me these ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it did have that extra layer.
You were right, absolutely right about the
Right.
being a basement at the back, but it's at the
This one
moment
there.
unheated. So the energy assessor who did the EPC has just treated it as not part of the property,
Right.
and so it's and there's no stairs down to it from within the property. So it's like separate.
Right. Okay. So it would have been
so-
like a almost used like a shed for whoever was living
Yeah,
in it
there's
before.
an outside loo.
Oh, right, okay. Marvellous.
And, there you go.
Oh, there we are. Yeah, fantastic.
And so it's been treated as not part of the dwelling, but I understand they want to extend the dwelling down to that level.
Right. Okay. So
So
whoever deals with that, we're going to have to bring that within the
They're
thermal
probably going to
envelope.
talk to you about that if they haven't already mentioned it to
Right.
you.
Okay.
I think they might want to do that, but that's not necessarily a problem. Again, you can hopefully insulate that wall, and then I think there should be space for the air source heat pump under those steps.
Somewhere around here.
Yep.
I think there's a rule, isn't there, about keeping it a certain of distance away from boundary walls.
Yeah, so you may
if-
need permission.
We may need
yes.
permissions for
yeah,
that. Okay.
Yeah. And
Did you get an opportunity to investigate about the external wall insulation?
yes, there's a guidance document on the council website that says it is permitted development provided that you don't change the appearance essentially
Right.
from the street.
So it would have to stay rendered and not
yeah,
become
rendered.
something that looks very
Yep.
different. Okay.
Yep. And so long as you use breathable materials.
Right. So it
So-
sort of limits us from not using PIR
So-
or phenolic or something like that.
yeah,
We'd have
which-
to go down the route of wood fibre or cork or something
Exactly,
similar.
that sort of thing. So that
Right.
that means a thicker insulation to get the U value
Right. Is that
So-
specific because it's this particular type of material in Brighton, do you think?
I think it's more because of the. I don't know that it's specific to that bungarouche,
Right.
which is a very local material. It's just because it's a traditional building,
Right.
so it
Okay.
will be expected to get damp,
Right.
and it's about making sure you're not trapping moisture in the building
Right.
with the. With,
Okay.
with an impervious insulation like PIR.
Okay.
So
All right.
it may, yes, it may mean you don't get quite as good thermal performance, but it still will be a vast improvement.
Okay, terrific. So I mean, on here we're literally going through the list of these. How close do you think these sort of indicative costs are? I mean, I was
I
just
think you need to check them,
Yeah.
because these are based on standard costs that I got from the Retrofit Academy.
Right.
We've got
I'm guessing access there is quite
a
limited,
standard
isn't
list
there?
of costs per square meter, so you may find your costs
Yeah.
are different from that. So you need to look at those carefully, and
Okay.
access is another challenge.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I think that just looking at the rear elevation of that property, it looks like everything would have to come through the front, and there's no
Yes.
access either
There's
side,
no
is there?
access to the rear at all.
Okay, so it's
So-
not like we could get any machinery in there,
Everything for the back is going to go through the front door.
right? Got you. Okay.
So
Okay, good to know. And which sort of orientation was it? East, west, south, north?
it was just south of west to the front.
Right. Okay.
So that means you've got a chance of getting. Your
half
PV could
decent
go on the
bit of
front, for example. If they wanted
Right.
PV, it could go on the front rather than have. That would be the better
Ideal.
orientation than the back.
Right.
So that's good news.
Yeah.
Because it would be easier to get at.
Right. Okay. But it'll be on the front, so we might need planning for
So
it.
again, it may affect the. Yeah.
Okay. So if this is now the next stage, obviously, thanks for going out and seeing the property. Great that we've got all the photos. So now it's my opportunity to go and have a chat with the customers, give them these indicative prices, warn them that they may be a little bit higher than
Yes,
that.
I'd have a look first because okay, you could warn them.
Yeah,
so
and
that-
say, look, this is our first best guess.
yeah.
But I think at this stage, it seems to me that it sounds like we're going to need permitted development. If you found the
Yeah.
document that gets the permitted development, but that means they're going to need to get a certificate of lawful development,
That's probably wise.
which they'll need to get some drawings for anyway, won't they?
Yes, and you're going to need a detailed design anyway, aren't you, for that?
So I think the next stage then
DWI.
really is for us to get a retrofit designer on board to
Yes.
get them some proper scale
Yep.
drawings, so we
Yeah.
can start the
I've done-
process of
yes,
the
I've done some
variations.
sketch plans, so they can hopefully they can make a good start with that.
Right.
So they should, hopefully I've provided enough information on those that they won't need to go to the property.
Okay. All right.
That's a theory.
That's the theory. They often like to do it themselves, don't they? But
Well, they might-
but it's
yeah.
a great
Yeah.
start. It means at least we can say to the clients now, look, this is some of the things that you wanted to do. We think are doable. We've got some backup of the
Yeah.
of the documentation from the local authority.
Yep.
We, from your experience of the heating options as well, we think that's doable. So it's worth investigating.
It's
Certainly.
doable. Yes, you may want a specialist to come and have a look
Right.
at the site constraints. Again, you presumably don't do that yourself.
We'd usually use a subcontractor, just it's quite specialised.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've got the usual guys that we use locally, so we'll have a chat with them,
Again, you could send them my report, and they might be able to
give us a
at least
rough
to give
idea,
you an initial idea from that. But again, as you say, they'll probably want to look at
do a
it
site
themselves
visit.
as
Okay.
well. But
But this is a great start for us to
Yeah.
then be able to go back to the customer and at least give them some of the options, because obviously their initial RD SAP just told them this
Yeah.
probably isn't
there
possible.
weren't that many options, were there?
No.
So the next stage is to get their buy-in.
Okay.
Get
Right.
their
Well, that's the
committee.
next thing we've got to do. Terrific.
Okay.
Fantastic.